Well, you guys are close over there. I thought you'd move
I'm
over.
so sick of the 6 foot rule.
I'm only because I like to stay 6 feet away from everybody all the time. I never social distancing. That was the one thing I never. That was yeah, fine. I can do that. No problem.
So my thing is that humans have to interact. We are built. We are a social. We are a social breed, I guess. Not breed.
I guess.
I'm losing my words already this morning. We're a social society. Like, we are supposed to interact. We have to be around people. We have to communicate. We have to talk. We have to share those different things. I know, but you want to live out in Rachel, and we're just having that conversation,
Exactly right.
In the middle of Rachel. But speaking of Rachel, there's, that super bad, or not bad, but that place you're not supposed to know about, right?
Oh, Area 51?
Yes. So
that I've been to the gate to?
Right, of course. I would expect nothing less of you, Tim.
Thank you.
But there was a really interesting article down in New Mexico. They had to euthanize a bunch of dairy cows because the local Air Force base had contaminated some well water that was feeding the cows, and then, all of the different things. And it's just interesting.
Was it the Air Force?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, who knows what's actually happening and whose fault it actually is. But here in Iron County, we're safe from all of that, theoretically, right? We're close enough that, we do have the downwinders from the 1970s and 80s, 60s, 70s, and those types of things. But really knowing where your food comes from, your sustainable food, your different things, and how you can find it all in Iron County. You can literally find a person or a person who knows one other person to get everything you need in Iron County. Isn't that right, Mike?
Totally. It's I'm amazed. I'm born and raised here from Parowan, and the older I get, the more I realize just how self-sufficient and self-reliant this county is in this state. And that's peace of mind for me, knowing that we can take care of ourselves to the best of our ability is a really, really good thing, especially in the world we're living in today.
I had a guest on earlier on the show this morning, and they have a college over in Monticello, and it's called Monticello College. And you know what they teach kids?
What?
How to live on your own.
Who knew? I'm writing a book on this.
In fact, while they're at school, they grow and can their own food. They go on survival treks.
Uh-huh.
They learn what their goals, what their mission in life is, and they are fully self-sustainable while they're on campus.
Well, it's
pretty cool.
It really is. It's really cool to know that, to know what a human is capable of. Sorry. Good morning. This is McKenna Hansen with Wired Wednesday. In studio today we have Mike Adams. One of these days I'm going to be really good at introducing the show before we get halfway through the show. But within all of the self-sustaining, self-survivor, ship, I have a set of skills that Mike doesn't necessarily have, and Mike has skills that I don't necessarily have. He is a cow-calf hay operation, right? He knows everything about beef, right? I know how to grow a garden. But between the two of us right here, if I trade my vegetables and I get beef for my vegetables, and in turn he gets vegetables for giving a little bit of beef, right there we just created synergy. Right? Now, I'm not saying Mike doesn't know how to grow a garden, but maybe I'm slightly better at it because he's definitely better at growing the beef, right? But right there, we created trade. We created synergy in trying to survive in Iron County. Now, just step back a little bit. If you did that with 10 people just in your street or in your block, if one person does this and this person does that and that person does, who's it, what's it, imagine the synergy that we would create as a community in that different aspect. Now, Mike, don't you sell a little bit of beef on the side?
You know what we do? We've been doing this for many years. We do pork and beef actually on the side. I don't know why we have so many side gigs, but it keeps us out of trouble. But it's a great, my favorite thing about doing this is teaching our kids. We have 5 kids, and teaching them the value, number one, of hard work, self-reliance, taking care of other people, and just the good old-fashioned entrepreneur. Learning how to do a business and doing those things is by far my favorite thing. It's way more about that than anything to do with money for us, to be honest with you. Teaching those kids. But having that operation in place, we've been doing this for over 20 years, the pork and the beef as well. But we have an operation where we have people that grow the pigs for us. We used to do it ourselves to raise them. We couldn't keep up with the demand. And so finally we went up north and found an exceptional farmer up there, and we buy pigs from him constantly. We buy 15 to 20 at a time, take them to Circle V Meat in Spanish Fork, and they process them for us. And then we have a refrigerated semi company bring them right to Parowan, and then people come to our house and pick those up. And it's an exceptional product. That's my favorite thing about it, is the quality of it. And when people ask us, what's the difference about yours? I'm like, I just hand them a package of ham steaks, some sausage, whatever it may be, and say, just tell me how it is and let me know what you think. And without fail, I've yet to give somebody a package of pork or beef or anything that haven't come back and said, okay, we want a beef, or we want a pork, or a half, whatever it may be. And that has been a really good opportunity for us, and it just keeps growing. Social media, honestly, has been a great blessing for us to spread the word. And my wife puts it out on these blog shops and different things like that, and she'll sell 15, 20 pigs in no time. So
well, and it's really incredible how, you know, we're creating that self-sufficiency, self-reliance, and when we see a neighbor in need or we see a family in need, we also have the ability to help influence their days, you know, whether or not they could feed their family, you know. And now I want to take a step back. It's not that we want to create another government program per se, but we realize that there's families in need, and we're willing to help. We're willing to make sure that we all survive together. Going back to the 6-foot rule, humans need each other. Humans need to know that it's normal to help each other in the store. I was walking down Walmart, a few nights ago, and this individual was looking for a much taller individual to reach the top of a shelf in the medicine aisle. Do you know how incredibly important medicine is, right? And she just wasn't tall enough. And so she was looking for another tall human to help her out. And she almost felt like sorry for asking another person for help. And I said, I stepped back, I interrupted, I said, honey, you're normal for needing help. You're normal for asking for help and wanting to interact with other humans. This is all normal. And a gentleman walked down. I mean, sorry, not to say that men are taller than women, but it's kind of a common thing. Sorry out there. But, you know, and he was more than happy and more than willing to help her, but just asking for that help and seeing a need and fulfilling the need. It's incredible. And especially when you talk about the entire state of Utah, you know, and not tying in, you know, my business stuff, but Farm Bureau Federation created their own kill, cut, and pack plant because they saw such a demand, rather than to send it into the Midwest where the large companies are, large, meaning they're processing hundreds of animals a day and cutting and selling them back to the grocery stores. They're cutting that person out to make sure that Utah survives. And it's incredible that we have cow-calf operations here in Iron County that are seeing the ability to get them to finish weight, you know, and we've talked about that in prior shows and things, but it's going into creating that synergy and, again, making sure that we're taking care of our neighbors.
I think one of the best things that we can do, I love what you said about how we're meant to be together. The more we help each other out, the better off we are. And I want to be successful. It's every morning when I get up, I want to do my best to be successful. But when I help my neighbor, whether it's a farmer or my neighbor that lives literally next door to me, that's what it's all about. Anything that we can do to turn outward instead of inward to help other people is where happiness is at.
And I thought it was the hokey pokey. I thought that's what it was all about.
Well, it could
That's
be.
part of it. We do that in Parowan quite a bit around Parowan's birthday. That's a good thing.
Within 6 feet of each other?
Not usually.
Okay, all right.
We're glad to have COVID behind us. I've had about enough of that, but that's a whole other show.
Oh yes, we could take hours for that. And it's really incredible that, you know, going back to, you know, helping your neighbors directly, right? Tell us where most of your cows go in any given year from your cow-calf operation to a finishing lot.
Great question. Okay, so we have 150 cows. They all have a calf every single year, and we save 20 of those best heifers in our breeding program for replacement heifers. So we have basically 130 head of calves every single year. We put them on Superior Livestock Auction with Duke Cox and Brett Whittier. Those guys are exceptional to deal with. You couldn't find two better men than those two. And so what we do is we put them on that auction, and it's amazing to me the different places that they go, because really anybody in the world can bid on those calves.
Right.
Anybody can, and typically they go in these few areas that I'll describe. We've had them go maybe to California, Nevada, Arizona, Nebraska, Texas, but the last several years they've gone right here to Parowan. Our good friend and neighbor Lyle Barton has bought either the heifers or the steers or both, and I love that. The Holtz out to Enterprise have got them before, and to have them stay right here to drive by months later, we typically sell them around 650 to 700 pounds ish in that neighborhood, and then send them out to, I'll say, Lyle or the Holtz, and then they'll feed them for several months, and then maybe send them to a finisher after that, or they may finish them themselves. But it's a great thing to see. They're born right here in Parowan, fed right here in Parowan. Lyle's feedlot is by some of our farms like a half a mile away, and so he's right there. We could literally trail them from our shop to his scales and sell them to him right there. So it's just a neat thing.
Well, and it's awesome because that creates so much synergy between your two operations, right? You're feeding your family, he's feeding his family, plus all of the other families that are involved with the operations. Maybe you guys have farm hands that you're paying that are then creating synergy in their own families. You know, a lot of the money, it's interesting if you like trail money, right? Or the history of money. $1 gets divided in so many different ways, and yet it influences so many different programs. You know, programs and feeding your children or doing different things. But the synergy that just that relationship creates is incredible.
I like the opportunity too, as you said, with friends and neighbors and working together, guys that have worked for us for many, many years, and to know that they're part of that. There's something really, really good. I guess I'll use the word, I take great pride. We take great pride as farmers and ranchers in putting out the very best product that we can, whether it's a bale of hay, corn silage, some sweet corn that we've planted to help some friends and neighbors again. We did that just a few weeks ago, planted another half an acre of sweet corn, and just things like that to help your friends and neighbors out, and to see where the end result is. We take great pride in that.
All right, I'm going to challenge you with the next question. Ready for it?
Let's do it.
What's the one thing in Iron County that we couldn't grow because of the growth cycle that we have?
That you couldn't grow? Well, I love pineapple, so I'm going to start with pineapple.
Okay.
Will that work?
Yeah, no. I think pineapple, oranges, avocados, limes, lemons,
Bananas.
right? Bananas, okay. Mango, like any of the hot tropical fruit is what I'll, you know, because we're just not in that climate. So that means that we can damn near grow everything else.
Absolutely.
Including apples.
Absolutely.
New Harmony, in fact, has one of the, granted it's not in Iron County, sorry New Harmony, you should just be annexed in, I understand this.
I would agree with that, by the way.
But New Harmony has one of the oldest orchards in the nation. And it hasn't been spliced or otherwise messed with in almost 150 years. Now, Ben Batty's going to correct me at some point, I'm hoping. But, you know, I believe their orchard is over 150 years old, and it hasn't been, and that's why they get the best cider down when they do Apple Fest in, I think, September or October.
Love apple.
You know, but basically, and especially if you just take Iron County, right? We can grow, I would say, 9 out of every 10 vegetables that you come across, right? Yeah. 9 out of all the domestic fruit, non-tropical, you know, kind of things. We can grow lettuce. We can grow beets and carrots and sugar cane. Well, sugar beets, not sugar cane, because it requires too much water or something, right?
Yeah.
But all in all, Iron County specifically, we have enough cropland and things to do. We're just missing water. And now water's a total God thing or a universe or a Buddha or whoever you believe in, right? But it's incredible if we put our minds to something, what we can grow and what we can accomplish. And then you take in the entire state of Utah. You add the Redmond salt mines. You know, you put in the perlite, the fertilizer, like all of the different things. We can basically be self-sustaining as a state if we all started playing on the same page.
Yeah, working together is critical. I love that you mentioned water. I'm on several water boards in our community and in the state. And that's a massive discussion right now, especially with the drought we're in. But if we work together, we can accomplish anything. It's just a matter of working together, having the goals. I think so many times people get on the news and they focus on the problems. We're surrounded by a million opportunities. Let's not focus on the problems or the fight in front of us. Let's focus on the opportunities, because that is something that we can control. Whatever it is, I don't care if it's water or beef or anything in between. Let's focus on the opportunities before us, helping other people and being self-sufficient. I think there's some challenging times coming. We're in some right now, fuel prices and things like that, and the stuff that's going on there. But the more we stick together and help each other out, I think you're going to see more and more people growing gardens, more and more people raising their own animals in their backyards. I really do. I think you're going to see an awful lot more of that, just because of the cost of food alone.
Well, and you bring this up, I mean, how dare we play nice with each other, right? And we're in the final 5 minutes. Tim, you got to keep track of me.
Oh, yeah.
But I had a neighbor or a friend over the other day, and I have my own tomatoes, and I have a few different, I started corn in my backyard. It is a trial error, but it's amazing how you can just plant something in a flower box, in a flower bed, in a container. You can grow radishes, carrots, tomatoes, potatoes. There's so many different things. And then think, if your neighbor has a little bit more.
One there.
Onions.
Yes, thank you.
Onions. I did grow onions this year, and my husband is pissed. Meaning,
Really?
I planted them without him actually knowing. And then he saw them sprout up, and he's like, "Did you plant onions?" And I said, "Oh, no, honey, I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "No, I can smell them." And he is like, he's not a huge onion fan, to say the least. Thank you, Ron Gibson, for making sure we get the onions in there. But it's incredible if we all got together and said, well, if you can grow this because you have more sunlight, and I can grow this because I have more, shade area or whatever, what we could actually do and create as a community, and how much less we would actually need the stores. Not that we don't need stores and groceries, okay? I'm not saying that. But in some aspect, we need to be more self-reliant, or at least have the ability to do so.
I would be really curious, and I say this with sincerity. I would be really curious to see who would step forward to solve the fuel issue, because we don't do fuel like we don't get gasoline here in Iron County. But I bet you someone would be smart enough to find a way to get something out for us.
Agreed.
And I think that it's going back into what could we do instead of fuel? And what could we use as a mode of transportation? Or how many more people would be commuting if they started talking to each other, right? If I need kids to go to Parowan for the day, I'm reaching out to 5 or 6 people that I know go between Cedar and Parowan even 2 or 3 times daily. Hey, can my kid hitch a ride with you to go to this person's house? But that takes people talking to each other and sharing ideas and creating synergy and being okay with being vulnerable. Now, I'm not saying you need to go and share your life story with everybody, but there is a sense of vulnerability. You have to be like, okay, I'm going to ask, and if I ask the right people in the right light, it will be received. And however that's received or passed through me, I need to be open and willing to making opportunities present themselves, focusing on the million ideas rather than the one issue.
Yeah.
Where do we solve problems versus what are we focusing on?
Yeah. When we work together, the possibilities are endless. When we complain and look for fault, I love the phrase, gold miners are looking for gold, not dirt. There's a lot of people in the world looking for dirt right now, and that's no way to live. No way to live. Let's look for gold. Let's look for opportunities. Even in the challenges that we're facing right now, together we come out much better. And necessity is the mother of invention. When fuel prices go crazy, as they go crazy, and they're going to go crazier. As I was visiting with some fuel people yesterday.
Oh no!
Let's be wise, but that's the way things work. As things go crazy, we think of other ways. Whether it's natural gas vehicles. Remember that happened last time fuel was over $4 a gallon. Diesel fuel was. And so little things like that, it's just people come out of the woodwork, especially during these things.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us for Wired Wednesday. It is always a pleasure and so enlightening every time. Just your conversation. So This has been McKinnon Hansen with Wired Wednesday, your local Farm Bureau financial agent. My number is 435-592-2021. Thank you for joining us.
Did we get your number out there?
435-592-2021.
All right. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks.
And one.